Want your boss to put some real action behind the rhetoric when they talk about making your workplace more inclusive? Find out how to hold their feet to the fire to demand diversity on the Diversity Dude podcast with Reg Clark.
So I am ready to keep this conversation moving. Sadly, this will be my last show, but I will always be a friend of the podcast. And I hope from time to time I get to join some of the other tremendous podcasts that Sheletta has provided on this platform. First and foremost, before I get into this final show, I want to say thank you to Sheletta. Sheletta has done an incredible job of putting together this podcast platform on her own. The promotion that she does for it. She's got a great lineup of podcasters that also support the show. I want to thank the other podcasters for their support. Definitely felt like a family. It's nice to be a part of something that is definitely in the spirit of the old fashioned designer FUBU, for us, by us. And it wasn't just for us, it was for everybody, which I thought was awesome. It was for everybody by us. So I hope that people continue to support and listen to the podcast and other individuals that are on the podcast as well. It's definitely an awesome platform and I'm grateful for it. And I just want to say thank you immensely from the bottom of my heart. So let's get into this final show, because what I want to do is talk to those of you who are in the space or in the position or have the opportunity to make a difference. And everyone knows from the inception of my show almost a year ago, the one thing that I've been talking about was moving the needle from diversity and getting to inclusion. I've already stated many times that diversity is happenstance. Nobody created diversity. You can't create diversity. The only thing you can do is be inclusive of it. So how do we continue to make that journey from the D to the I, getting from diversity to inclusion? So one thing I want to talk to everyone who has an opportunity to influence it, and everyone does, in whether it's a CEO or an entry-level employee, everyone has the opportunity to champion for inclusion, to champion for the rights of everyone, the civil rights, whether it just be in the workplace or as some of the initiatives that your organization has taken on, making sure that they're inclusive of a larger audience. So just go through a few points here. I have 4 points that I want to make. The first one is develop continuously. Continue to develop your knowledge in the area of inclusion, your knowledge in historical, systemic, and systematic exclusion. Continue to develop your own emotional intelligence. How do you develop and continue to make sure that you see how you're perceived, you understand how others think, that you want to make sure that in the world of emotional intelligence that you can develop empathy, not the same as sympathy, but you want to be able to develop empathy. This is truly important. Empathy is truly important if you happen to be a person in a position of power or decision-making capability that has the ability to influence outcomes for others, to be empathetic, walk a mile in their shoes, if you will. So develop continuously and don't stop looking for the opportunities. Evolve continuously, not only yourself, but evolve personally and professionally yourself, but continue to push your organizations to evolve. What they did a year ago, are they still doing it? Are they developing? Are there any metrics available that you can see that says, okay, we're doing a good job here, we're doing good things here? Acknowledge what the progress is, but at the same time, look for where the opportunities are. You know, what are the opportunities? It's a matter of semantics and playing the game, but there are challenges, but every challenge presents an opportunity. So rather than just come to the table with what the challenge is, come to the table with what the opportunities are and understand what those opportunities are. If you develop professionally and personally and develop your skills, then this next step of evolution is easier because now you have new skill sets to help you attain what you want to attain. So definitely continue um, to evolve. The next point is to be sure to surround yourself with a critical mass of like-minded thinkers. The old saying is iron sharpens iron. A group, of individuals who think together, they reflect themselves, right? So if you get with people who are progressive minded, chances are your ideas are going to become progressive minded. If you are the smartest person in the room, then maybe you need a bigger room. So maybe you excuse yourself and go to a bigger room where there are people who can actually teach you as well as you doing the teaching. So there should be some reciprocity in the process of your friendships and your business relationships. You should feel like there's some reciprocity to it. But even though you're going to surround yourself with like-minded thinkers, you also want to be aware of the opinions and actions of others, engage in dialogue with others as well. And when you go back to your circle of that critical mass of like-minded thinkers, you can re-energize, you can get your energy back. You can say, okay, I've had this conversation. This is what I did well. This is what I did not so well. Get feedback from those individuals for that critical mass. A critical mass of like-minded thinkers doesn't mean you'll always agree, but it means that you'll have ways to move the conversation forward. You will be in a situation where you're having hopefully great dialogue, and all of those opinions may not be your own opinions, but you're trying to get to the same place. You just have different routes on getting there. So definitely be sure to surround yourself with a critical mass of like-minded thinkers. And then the last point is constantly scan your environment for good and bad. So whether it's your own organization, whether it's the competition, whether it's the industry that you're in, what is the industry doing? What are your competitors doing? What are your peers doing? So not just on a corporate level, but on a personal level, what are your professional peers doing? What works well? What doesn't work well? And then on a personal level, your personal friendships, scan the environment of your friendships. Which ones are healthy relationships, strong relationships? Same thing in the professional world. Are there individuals that are constantly taking from you and not giving back, and depleting your resources? Or are you surrounded with peers that, again, using that word reciprocity, peers that you can go to in times of need, as well as being able to help others out? Helping others out is a tremendous thing. And that's what I had hoped to accomplish with this podcast, was really put some information out there that I thought would be beneficial to others. If not, because I said it, but at least maybe planting a seed that cause others to go out and look for information. Even if people disagree with me, which is great, that it spurred them to do some research, to do some fact finding on their own on the topics that I presented. I'd like to think that there's pretty much no argument in saying that we've been practicing diversity for a long time, and we still have very negative corporate stories in our news on a daily basis. And the reason why is because diversity isn't sincere. Inclusion is something that's sincere, that is sincere. And working with individuals who are sincere is the number one step. We all have a part to play in this inclusion game, and it's just a matter of what our tolerance is. So go out there and definitely continue to make a difference. Assess your organization. If you're unhappy with your circumstances, plan your move away from your organization. The best advice I've ever received about a career or a relationship is you have to ask yourself, am I running from something, or am I running to something? And if you're running from something, chances are you'll end up in a situation just as bad, if not worse. If you're running to something, it means you've identified an opportunity. You've identified something that you think is going to A, make you successful, and B, that you can make successful. So that's the biggest difference. I think if I can leave this podcast with anything, don't worry, you guys will see me again. But if I can leave this podcast with anything, is ask yourself sincerely, am I running from something or am I running to something? And I hope you all run to the opportunity that you so well deserve. I am not going to pay the meter and park it right here. I'm just going to keep on cruising, and I'll see you down the road.
Well, I wanted to jump in before we played your outro and say what an honor and a joy it was to develop the Diversity Dude podcast around your skills and around your expertise, and how we identified an issue and a problem, and you jumped right in there and used your voice to help shed some light and provide some education for those of us who didn't understand how this process works. So from all of us at ShelettaMakesMeLaugh.com, we are so sad to see you leave something that you have built. You've been on ABC, you've been on Fox, you've been in the newspaper, a very sought after expert in this field of diversity and inclusion, and one of the most popular podcasters on our platform. Your show came through and just knocked everybody else out of the water, and you made us have to step our game up. And so we just appreciate everything that you have done and the work that you continue to do.
Sheletta, don't get the Diversity Dude to crying, because the waterworks will start. You've done an excellent job. You've done a great job. You've created a blueprint for so many people to follow. And it's not like I'm going anywhere. I'm just fading to the background, but I'll be there, and I'll be your biggest cheerleader, your biggest fan. I'm always rooting for you and all the other podcasters. And if there's anything I can ever do, I'm there for you.
Okay. Well, you got us some big shoes to fill. We've been looking for a new diversity dude, and we just, I mean, we've talked to some guys and they just don't have it. Like I said, broadcasting is not your forte. It's human resources, it's diversity and inclusion. And when you came on board, a lot of the podcasters, who have expertise in maternal health and counseling and all those other things, they needed a lot of coaching and help to kind of get them up to speed on, broadcasting. And you came in with everything that you have, plus a spirit of excellence with regard to presenting yourself and your subject matter, making it plain so that other people could understand it, getting on the different shows to talk about how it impacts diversity and inclusion. And I mean, you were just amazing. And so we've talked to some other folk, they just ain't up to snuff. I was like, maybe he put our standards too high. I don't know what's going on here. So,
well, Sheletta, it's like I've been saying throughout my podcast. It's all about being genuine, being sincere. When I speak about diversity and inclusion, I'm truly talking not only from my experience, but the experience of others that I've worked with and talked to and coached and mentored over 20 plus years. And the challenges out there are real, but so are the opportunities.
And I think what you did was you showed people what the opportunities were. So thank you so much.
Thank you for giving this beginning podcaster an opportunity.
And like you said, we're not going to pay the meter and park it right there. We're going to keep on cruising. We love you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Tune in each week as Reg Clark shows you how to demand and implement diversity and inclusion at your job. To hear more, check out his previous shows on ShelettaMakesMeLaugh.com.